The chamber of the Galactic Council was carved from a single asteroid, its walls polished to a mirror sheen that reflected the light of 100 delegates from 40 worlds. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Talvex Orin, a Vesserine diplomat whose kind had traded with humanity for nearly a decade. He was the only one in the room who looked afraid. "You are making a mistake," Talvex said, his translator crackling with urgency. "I have seen what happens when humans are wronged. I have seen the aftermath. Do not attack them. If you do, they will not stop. They will hunt you forever." Laughter rippled through the chamber. Not cruel, but dismissive, the kind reserved for a warning nobody believed needed heeding. High Counselor Brunasthika, a towering Corvith with skin like cracked granite, rose from his seat. "Humanity is young," Brun said. "Weak, scattered across a handful of systems, propped up by technology they barely understand. The colony at Halden's Reach sits on a resource vein worth more than 3 star systems combined. We will not let sentiment for a fledgling species cost the Council its future." Talvex tried once more. "They do not fight like your histories teach you war is fought. They fight like something is owed to them. And when the debt is paid, they walk away, but only after everyone who caused it is gone." The vote was called. 62 in favor of seizing Halden's Reach. 11 abstained. Talvex was the only one who voted against it. Halden's Reach was a modest colony, 3,000 souls carved out of red rock and stubborn hope, 40 light-years from Earth. Colonel Dana Whitfield had commanded the garrison there for 6 years. She knew every family by name. She'd watched children born in the colony's medical bay grow tall enough to work the mining rigs. The Corvith fleet came out of the dark without warning, 11 warships descending on a settlement that had exactly 2 orbital defense platforms and a militia armed with mining lasers. It was not a battle. It was a slaughter. Dana watched from the command bunker as the sky burned, as the domes cracked open one by one, as 3,000 lives were reduced to statistics in less than 40 minutes. She got exactly 1 transmission out before the relay tower fell. 6 words, sent on an open frequency so that everyone, human and alien alike, would hear them. They came. They didn't have to. Then the signal died, and Halden's Reach went dark. Earth did not declare war with speeches. There were no grand addresses, no flags raised in defiance. What happened instead was quieter, and far more terrifying to those who understood what they were watching. Fleet Admiral Ethan Cole stood before the Joint Human Command 3 days after the attack, a data slate in his hand showing the casualty list. He did not raise his voice. "We are not going to war," he said. "War implies an ending. We are going to finish something. Every ship, every officer, every engineer in this room has one job now, and it isn't winning. It's making sure this never happens to us again, by making sure it can never happen to anyone who thinks about trying it." Within a month, human shipyards that the Council believed were still a decade from full production were turning out warships at a rate no one had accounted for. Within 3 months, human intelligence networks, quiet, patient, embedded in a dozen alien economies for years under the guise of trade, began feeding back the exact locations of every Corvith command officer who had approved the Halden's Reach operation. The Council had assumed humanity's technology was borrowed and shallow. They had not accounted for the fact that humans had spent their entire history fighting each other, refining strategy, logistics, and vengeance into an art form long before they ever left their own solar system. The first Corvith outpost fell 6 weeks after Halden's Reach. It wasn't destroyed. That was the part that unsettled the Council most. Human forces took it intact, disabled its defenses with surgical precision, and left a single message burned into the command center's main screen for the next occupants to find. "We know who gave the order. We are not finished." Brunasthika, the High Counselor who had championed the attack, went into hiding within his own capital, surrounded by 3 layers of personal guard. It made no difference. 2 months later, a human retrieval team, 11 soldiers, no more, infiltrated his fortified compound not through force, but through 18 days of patient reconnaissance, false identities, and a supply chain compromised so thoroughly that his own guards had unknowingly let the humans in through the front gate. Brun was not killed. That too unsettled the Council. He was captured alive and delivered, in chains, to a neutral station where representatives of every Council world could see him. Colonel Dana Whitfield herself stood beside him as the broadcast went out across 1,000 systems. "This is Brune Asthika," she said, her voice flat and even. "He is responsible for the deaths of 3,000 civilians at Halden's Reach. He believed my people were too young, too scattered, too weak to answer for it. We are showing him to you not as a trophy, but as a lesson. We do not want more wars. We do not want more worlds like his to burn. But if you attack us, we will find you. However long it takes, wherever you hide. That is not a threat. It is a promise, and we intend to keep every one we make." The screen cut to black. Ambassador Talvex Oren watched the broadcast from his quarters aboard the council station, and for the first time in months, he allowed himself to breathe. He had spent a decade among humans, had drunk with their soldiers, had studied their history, the endless wars, the impossible comebacks, the species-wide refusal to accept defeat as final. He had tried to explain it to the council in words. Now the galaxy had seen it for itself. He requested an audience with the newly assembled council the following week. This time, no one laughed when he spoke. "I told you," Talvex said quietly. "I did not say it to frighten you. I said it because it is true. Humanity does not seek conquest. They do not want your worlds or your resources, but they remember every name, every face, every debt owed to them. Cross that line, and there is no border in this galaxy far enough to hide behind." A young Vesserine delegate, newly appointed, leaned forward. "Then what do they want, Ambassador?" Talvex thought of Dana Whitfield's voice, steady even as she stood beside the shackled counselor who had ordered a colony's death. He thought of the message burned into the outpost screen, not a boast, but a warning offered even in victory. "Peace," he said. "They want peace. But they have made it very clear that peace is a door that swings only one way. You may walk through it freely. But if you choose to break it down instead..." He let the silence finish the sentence. Halden's Reach was rebuilt within 2 years, its domes gleaming under a red sky once more, its population slowly climbing back toward what it had been. A small memorial stood at the colony's center, 3,000 names etched into black stone, and beneath them, 6 words carved deep enough to outlast the wind and the years. They came. They didn't have to. No council world ever attacked a human colony again. Not because they feared humanity's fleets, though those fleets were formidable now. Not because they feared humanity's weapons, though those had grown terrible in their precision. They feared something older and far more patient. The simple, unshakable knowledge that humans did not forget, did not tire, and did not stop. The warning had been given. The council had not listened. They would not make that mistake twice.